decree in casual simplicity.
The computer is most fluent at reproducing the mechanical world and the effects of light, reflection, transparency and edges, which are the products of well-known physical laws. Linear physical laws that can be mathematically calculated and mathematically distorted. Interestingly, it is the natural world, the flexible faces, hands, people and animals that we are most familiar with that have proved to be the downfall of the so-called computer artist. Computer artists use a stylus to select effects. The paint box is easy for an artist to use. The computer has built-in geometric shapes such as squares, circles and lines. The menu in the lower part of the screen commands the computer to select different operations, including magnifying the area to be worked on. A wide variety of lettering styles are available. Any image can be scanned into the computer and changed or retouched. At its simplest, the use of computer graphics to change photographs poses some interesting questions about reality. Designer Donna Cohen.
There's computers where the resolution is so high that you can never tell that it was ever touched by anything, which raises the whole question of photography as evidence of anything. I don't even think people are aware of how much computer graphics is used today. There's just a whole question now of what is real.
None of these techniques is particularly stunning, but they do raise questions about the integrity of a familiar picture. As well as altering the content of a picture, the computer can reduce an image or multiply it to order. These are the basic techniques common to all electronic graphics. In some cases, the computer can add to our understanding of a picture. In this case, a series of the famous Muybridge prints. The difficulty is often not what the computer can do, but what the artist can get it to combine. Here, separate elements have been added to produce a house interior based on the Italian design movement called Memphis. But unlike the real furniture, it seems oddly dull and humorless. Computers can also add to their own creations. Title letters like these are unconvincing when depicted flat, but compelling when given depth. Individual picture cells, or pixels, are the building blocks of computer graphics. There are thousands of pixels available on the screen, and each one can be used and colored separately. Painting with the computer simply involves moving a stylus around, depositing areas of color. painted backgrounds can be combined with 3D animation. Here, part of the background is being magnified so a star can be painted onto the sky above the landscape. Now an invented object is built as a stick figure or wireframe model and magnified to change its details. The model is now given depth to add a third dimension. The color and lighting menu is brought up, and the object is given color and a light source. After this, the other half of the model is built. The complete wireframe model is now positioned in the landscape scene. Much like traditional film animation, several positions or key drawings are set to define trajectory. With the key positions, the direction and velocity of the movement is rehearsed. After adjustments are made, the animator views a completed wireframe test of the action before the computer generates the finished piece frame by frame onto videotape. Computer graphics is now big business, with over $7 billion spent each year in the United States alone. The majority of the computer graphics industry is concentrated in computer-aided design, or CAD. Other major uses are electronic design, business graphics, architecture, and mapping. Perhaps surprisingly, the images most of us see on television are the smallest part of the business.
Consomme trop. Un remède, Restore. Restore combat l'usure interne du moteur. Votre moteur consomme moins et votre voiture reprend des ailes.
In an oddly frictionless void, we are forced to fly around glittering names and logos, docking with the ad man's ideas beyond the gravitational pull of our own willpower. But whose idea of better than standing still is this? Is this electronic fishbowl in which we are increasingly forced to swim really exciting and new? The only truly new experience is the ever-changing perspective in sequences like these. The actual design and artwork is often tasteless and rather silly, with less character than a wooden puppet. The last great visual revolution was the 16th century development of perspective on flat canvas. The false depth or illusion of distance that this offered was greeted with as much amazement in Renaissance Florence as this synthetic flight over the Golden Gate Bridge, or this waltz round a computer-generated neon sign. Recently, genuine attempts to find an identity in computer graphics have brought together electronics engineers and film director Steven Spielberg for an American television series called Amazing Stories. The thought was that if enough detail was put into the artwork, the sequence would be lifted above the usual rather stiff graphic imagery of the computer. Sequence director Randy Roberts.
We had 37 objects, even though they flew by quickly. Each was on about 4 seconds, and each one had to be rendered fully.
Producer Robert Abel.
Every object in Amazing Stories has textures and highlights. Like the skull, you can't tell the difference between the real skull and the one we've created with raster imagery. Even when you don't see all the details, you can sense them. Just look at this book for a minute. The inside is real typography of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. The binding is real alligator leather.
Of course, Abel doesn't mean real. He means it looks real. In their quest for reality, computer programmers have returned to an old Walt Disney trick of filming something in live action and then pretending it was drawn.